Hello, good night, good evening, everyone. This is Julian Johnson. I'm Dr. Julian Johnson. Just glad to be with you tonight and welcome to the network. We're going to have a special conversation tonight with Terri King Hunt. We'll see you in just a moment. Well, I'm so excited tonight to have the one and only Terri King Hunt on the network every single week. Our goal is to help people to find community, to gain connections, and to experience compassion. Each week we'll feature a special guest. And tonight we have Terri King Hunt from Terri Teaches. Welcome to the network tonight.
Yay! Listen, I like your little introduction. That was like, oh, I was jamming in the green room. That was good.
And good. Listen, we got to make sure it's live for you because we know you're bringing that fire tonight.
Julian, man, this is good stuff. I'm so excited.
Well, Terri, you've been there actually from the beginning and inception of Built to Thrive. About a year ago, we had a time together, you, Monique, myself, and my wife, and we were all hanging out. And I said, hey, guys, I have this idea. I want you to be able to be a part of it. And you and Monique, I mean, y'all told me the truth. You put me through the ringer and everything like that. But you said you can do it. And I just want to say thank you.
Listen, we put you through the ringer because we saw you something. We put you through the ringer because we knew that you had something. And we were so excited. Like, we believed in it and it's coming to fruition. And I told everybody, this is one of my, I'm most proud about this conversation tonight. Like, I'm so super proud of you, Julian. This is exciting stuff.
Well, thank you so much. I'm excited as well because this is the real deal tonight. Terri Hunt is the real deal. And tonight we're going to be talking about something very, very important. And we're going to be talking about how to thrive while doing virtual education. So, all right, COVID-19 comes, we're all in it together. Week by week, everything shuts down in May and March and everything else like that. The school year finishes. Everybody automatically goes to virtual education. Parents are losing their minds. People are wondering what they should do. And now we're right back where we started in a way, where we're looking at doing virtual education again. Could you kind of share with us like the whole journey of what it was like for you and what kind of steps what it was like for you?
So I'm going to start at what it was like for me as it relates to COVID, but then I'm also going to talk about how when you talk about that idea of putting you through the ringer or that idea of preparing for such a time, right?
Yeah.
When you understand and you look back and you see how the orchestration of everything came to be, you have to sit back and be like, yo, really, God?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So COVID for us didn't hit us as hard because we were accustomed to being home.
Got you. Okay.
It also didn't hit us as hard in the beginning because I had already been doing my writing courses and teaching a lot of virtual learning courses already. So I was set up for the experience. What ended up happening as more and more time continued to add on, if you followed me for any length of time, you'll know that I kept on saying things like, oh, guys, we're not going back to school this year. Oh, guys, I don't know if we're going to go back to school in the fall. And of course, everybody was like, oh, it's going to be fine. But, you know, you start to see trends, you start to see things, you start to understand things. And I was like, okay, let me just prepare. But let's back up just a little bit, because when I tell you that it was 4 years ago, when I decided to leave public school education and come home with my children, I had this feeling, and I don't know how to explain it other than when you are walking closely with God,
yeah,
you just know when he's telling you to do something.
Yeah.
I remember my husband said to me, can you just try to teach one more year in the system? And I burst into tears because I just knew that there was something that God was telling me to do. And when I left and started teaching my kids, like one thing after another happened. My child's teacher told her that slaves love their masters. Little things like that started happening that just kept on saying, no, you're going to teach your own kids. You're going to teach your own kids.
Yeah.
And now when I'm sitting right here and I'm setting up my classroom, I was telling you earlier, I was setting up my classroom and people are asking me about my writing course. And it's like, oh, I just drop a link and it's just easy. It's because when you just put yourself in alignment, you realize through the process, oh, God knew this was coming. And I'm ready. I'm prepared. So it has not been devastating. It hasn't been fun because, I mean, we're stuck in the house. You know, homeschooling kids go out a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Out a lot. But we were prepared for it. So that's been great.
Wow. I mean, so in so many words, it's like you've been ahead of the curve of this whole thing. God prepared you and kind of let you know it's time for you to move to something else. And you didn't leave the public school system or teaching in the classroom, brick and mortar classroom, because you were a bad teacher. Actually, you were an excellent teacher and on the path toward administration. Yeah. And I really do believe that God really calls us to do things when we're ready and when he's ready for us and when we are equipped emotionally to make the move, even if we don't feel like it, we are making the move at the right time.
Oh, yeah.
So could you kind of talk to us about the virtual education piece? So I know that homeschool, there's a plethora of opportunities and companies. You got here in Florida, we have the Florida Virtual School. There's online education in the public school system now. But could you talk to us about the philosophy of homeschool and home education versus being in the classroom? And then we'll go on from there.
Yeah. So I tell everybody that, you know, a lot of times parents are nervous. They have some trepidation as it relates to homeschool because they don't feel qualified.
Exactly.
And I always tell parents, you know your child best, therefore you are the most qualified person to be in charge of their education. Notice that I just said to be in control, to be in charge of their education. You know, one of the biggest things that I try to get parents to reposition their thinking is that they are the administrators of their building. They don't have to be the teacher of math, reading, science, social studies, language. They have to be the administrator in their building. And an administrator knows how to hire for their weakness. They know how to leverage their resources.
Oh, you're teaching now.
Yeah. They know how to see the learners in their classroom, identify their learning strengths and identify their learning needs, and then leverage and utilize their resources and their personal know-how. Because listen, we all come with an expertise in something.
Exactly.
To leverage all of that to provide their child with the most robust and best education possible.
Yes.
That's what it means to homeschool. It means I'm taking control of my child's education to ensure that they get the very best that this world has to offer them as it relates to education. So when we talk about virtual learning now, or when we talk about doing this virtually, it means that I still am going to do the same thing. So for the most part right now, this school year for me is looking like it's going to be one of the best school years I've ever had with my children.
Wow.
Why? Because everybody's virtual.
Yeah.
So all I need to do is reach out to my PE friends that are already going to be teaching PE online and tell them, send me the code so that when you start teaching 5th grade PE, I'm going to pipe my children in.
Wow.
Send me the link because when you're teaching 5th grade art, I just want to pipe my children in, right? Everybody is at home. Everyone's doing something virtually. So you have access and resources all over the world to bring to your children. And that's what it means to be an administrator.
Now, what I need you to do is back up a little bit, because you were giving some insider information that some people really are trying to figure out. I was talking to a work colleague the other day, and he was telling me that they hired a person to be like their own homeschool consortium inside the house. But most people don't know about links, and most people don't know about connecting with PE teachers or art teachers or other people, as you explained. And I was wondering, could you break that down just a little bit more?
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about three things. Okay. So there are public school systems who are going virtual. So you're enrolling your child in the public school and doing their learning virtual. There is also a homeschooling version where I am not connected to any public school system.
Right.
I homeschool my kids. But there are online alternatives to school that you can also access. So depending on how you're doing it, a lot of people ask me, well, now if everyone's virtual, Terri, you'll have your kids at home. Why aren't you going to get the free education that the public school system provides? Well, because I still want the flexibility to provide my children the resources that they need, right? And so that's the only reason, or that's one of the main reasons why I haven't enrolled them, because I still want access to that. But in the same way that you have access to the tutors in your community, there are what are called co-ops. Co-ops are a group of people who come together to homeschool their children together. And some homeschool children some co-ops have a teacher that teaches math, and a teacher that teaches reading, and a teacher that teaches science. And you might be a teacher who teaches language arts. So you have co-ops in the community that you can connect with. There are homeschooling communities on Facebook that you can connect and join into. And the amazing thing about some of these groups on Facebook is, those big programs that are super expensive.
Yes.
They go in together and they all collectively put their money together, and then they all share that resource together.
Excuse me. I mean, that's new knowledge.
That's huge.
That is huge.
Right.
That is huge.
People are nervous because they feel like homeschool is going to be expensive because they're not getting free school. Yeah. There are so many families who are finding ways to homeschool their children, and it's not costing them more than, the lights are on all the day.
Yeah.
Like the lights are on all day long in my house. My air condition went out because it's running all day. Those things are different, but I have parents who are working and still homeschooling their children.
Really?
Absolutely. Because when you homeschool, you can be flexible with your schedule. Mm-hmm. So mom is working from 4 a.m. till 9, and the kids wake up at 9 and they have breakfast, and they do school from 9:30, 10 o'clock to 2. And then mom gets on the line, and while she's on the line, she's leveraging the PE teacher or the art teacher or the sign language teacher, and they're sitting in front of the computer getting their lesson that way. And everyone's still working and having a great day, but you are the administrator of your child's learning.
So let me ask you, it sounds like there's some great advantages to being the administrator of your child's learning. And for those parents who may be shell-shocked that they're going to participate in a more integrated way in their learning, what are some things that you would suggest that parents who this is their first time doing this, whether they're choosing a homeschool option, whether they have one kid in the brick and mortar school or one kid homeschool doing virtual, what are some helpful tips that you would suggest that these are some good things, some fundamental ABCs, 1, 2, 3s of this new environment that would assist them in doing well from day one?
Yeah. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is creating rituals and routines, right? Okay. And I'm not going to tell you what your ritual and your routine is going to be, because it's going to be what works in your home, and it's going to be what works for your family. I'm going to give you a prime example. Last year, I was homeschooling, and my daughter, she was 4 at the time. Well, at 4, she needs a lot of attention.
Yeah.
So I used to let her go to sleep really late so that she would sleep until like 10, and then she would wake up at 10. Well, from 8 to 10, I had already gotten in 2 full subjects with my older ones, and got them all set and ready to go. So by the time she woke up, I was able to fix her breakfast, get her on her learning, do some fun activities. And by the time we did that, it was time for the older ones to have lunch. By the time they finished lunch, now it's time for us to go to whole group science, where we're all doing projects and we're all doing hands-on learning. So you find a ritual and a routine that works for your family.
Sure.
The second thing I would suggest is to identify how you're going to homeschool, right? Because if you're going to homeschool through virtual schooling, you're just at home with your kids doing that virtual learning, then you need to understand that platform, right? Before school starts, understand the platform. Before school starts, understand the platform, because you are going to be able to mitigate so much anxiety and frustration and confusion when you know how to log on, when you know how to, turn the camera on, when you know how to chat, when you know how to do all those little things that once they get started in class and on your schedule, it says while they're in class, I'm going to be making calls.
Yeah.
Make sure they're ready so they don't have to go, Mom, Dad, because that's going to use up your whole hour because you're standing over the computer getting them ready.
No, that's so true. I think that one of the things is just the nervous anxiety of trying to figure out what is the best thing to do. We're choosing a virtual option for both of our kids this year, and it's a new thing. Even though my wife's a teacher, excellent professor, everything like that, it just takes a different course and thought process to be able to do. And I know it is possible, but I'm wondering what kind of things, what kind of advantages. We got the concerns and everything like that, but you got the number 2. Do we get all the way to number 3? We got create rituals and routines.
Mm-hmm.
You got to identify how you're going to homeschool. And the third thing, is it before school starts, understand the platform, or is there another one?
Well, that was kind of like the 2 of them together before you start. Right. And then the third thing I want you to do is be willing to pivot. Like, be willing to grow with the process. Just go with the process. And I say that because what you try this week, it might look great on paper, and then it doesn't work. So try something different, right? Be willing to pivot and go with the process, because I say this to everyone, and I keep saying this to everyone. This whole situation is not fun, right? It's just not. This is not ideal in any form of fashion. So any decision that's being made is not ideal, right? So we all know that. Let's not worry about that anymore. We are in this new place. We're in this new space. We're going to go ahead and do what we're going to do. We're going to plan. We're going to work it out. And if it doesn't work, we're going to sit down as a family. Include your kids in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to say what worked this week. What didn't work this week?
Mm-hmm.
How can we fix that? You know?
Yeah.
And then the last thing, I just remembered one more thing.
Yeah.
Create an ending to the day.
Ooh, I like that.
Create an ending to the day. And I have to say that over and over and over again, because that's me preaching to me.
Yeah.
I have to create an ending to the day, because if not, every day starts folding into each other, and you never get rejuvenated. You never have the fun. You never connect. So make a morning routine and an ending of the day routine, right? Whatever that looks like, so that you're creating for your kids. This is when we're working. This is when we're done, and when you have those guideposts, whatever they look like in your house, then you set yourself up for success.
No, I think that that's powerful what you said. Just to give a little review here, to have a successful school year, number one, create rituals and routines. And I like that, to be able to have something that's signature Hunt family, signature Johnson family, to be able to say, this is our thing. And then the second thing, you said identify how you're going to homeschool. I like that. And I think the different approaches to homeschooling and obviously virtual in home education, things like that, and then be willing to pivot, go with the process, and then finally create an ending to the day. If you don't realize this already, we're hearing from an expert, homeschool expert, Terri King Hunt, and she has a book, and that book is beautiful and powerful. And I want you to know that unless we actually take advantage of being a part of our children's education, we're basically kind of throwing them up to the wind. I was listening on another popular morning show the other day where he had callers call in between the show, and the caller said, I want to send my kids to school because I know they're smoking weed at home when I'm not there. I don't know what they're doing when I'm not there. But this is a commitment. But it also sounds like it's a connection and an opportunity. Could you kind of share, like, what kind of connections have you made with your kids as a result of doing this? Because I think so many people are approaching this moment with fear, trepidation, anxiety, trying to figure out if this is the right thing to do, hopeful that will work out. But what kind of connections, what kind of positive things or memorable moments have come out of this homeschool and virtual experience for our audience?
Man, I understand that this has not been pleasant for everyone. But I can honestly say that homeschooling my kids was the best decision I ever made. And B, this pandemic, this shelter in place has become really, really powerful in our family. We have had the opportunity to do bake-offs. We went camping in our backyard. The whole 9 yards. We pitched a tent. We got sleeping bags. We made a fire outside. We purposely took pictures and staged them so it looked like we were in the woods. We've had dance parties. My 5-year-old has put on, she had a party for us, and we had tea parties. Another thing that has been so beautiful for me is my parents live in Utah, and we talk to them frequently. But since the shelter in place, we made a conscious effort and decision to every Friday night have worship together virtually, little things that, because we're in this situation, we're making conscious decisions and conscious efforts. That has been so wonderful and so special. I think my kids are going to have some really great memories as a result of this. And I think that that's the beautiful part of just embracing life. It's about, homeschooling was great because it allowed me to teach the things that were important. African history was really important to me. It allowed me to share with them who they are, their history. It allowed me to teach them about their heritage and why they are amazing human beings. It allowed me to highlight for them their gifts and strengths and talents that they can own, and they know who they are. So homeschooling allowed me to do that. Being here in this virtual pandemic experience allowed me to connect in ways that I hadn't thought. It made me be creative in the way that I connect with my world and my kids, because I wanted to give them, their mental health is really important to me.
Of course. And I think,
yeah.
No, go ahead. Please talk about that.
Yeah, their mental health was just really important to me. So I'll be honest, this whole experience had made me much more patient. Because I realized I was frustrated and they were feeling my pain. They were feeling my tension. And so, like, when we were back into where we had to shelter in place and no going out, no going to the stores, right? They were running around the house. They were screaming. They were making forts in my living room. One day, no kidding, they threw their mattress down the stairs. And I was like, what are we doing? I realized really early, you are not going to yell at them. You don't yell at them regularly. So you're not going to start yelling now. You're not going to fuss. And those decisions made me embrace this process. Go in my closet.
Yeah.
Cry in my closet.
Yeah.
Scream in my closet.
Yes.
And come back out and be like, hey guys, can you make the bed in the living room then, please? So I don't have to just see a sprawling mattress, please.
Yes.
Little things like that. But their mental health, my kids are happy. Like, they're happy. And that's important.
So how much of this is caught? How much of this is taught? How much of this is inherent inside of each of us? Because some people say, they really love kids, but they don't know how to teach their kids. That's why they don't mind them going to school. Or I really love kids, but I think it'd be great if they had some other activities with other kids their age, or other parental influences and things like that. So, I mean, I think that the reality is that a lot of us need to be able to get in that closet. A lot of us need what Rashida's talking about, having that mental health piece. And I think that the beautiful part of all that we do is that the reality is that we are all in this for our own mental health and for the kids' mental health as well.
Yeah. Listen, I promise you, if you take the approach that you are the administrator in your building and don't think of yourself as having to do it everything, that will free you to start looking around to see who can help. Like, once you realize, oh, I don't have to be the sole entertainment for my kid.
Yeah.
It will cause you to look around and go, who can entertain my child?
Yeah.
Oh, they want to start a business? Let's find business schools that take an hour a day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's find, you want to learn sign language? Contact Rashida. Rashida knows sign language, and I'm going to get her to teach my children. Like, you become so creative in looking around to see who you have in your network.
Yeah.
I mean, I called my sister through the summer and I say, hey, guess what? They need a play date. They need to talk to you for an hour. Because they can't talk to me for the next hour because I'm about to lose it. You know what I mean? That level of realizing you are not their sole entertainment. You are not their sole teacher. You have the authority and autonomy to reach out to people. It'll change the way you view it.
I think that's awesome. Tonight we're talking to Terri from Terri Teaches, and we're talking about the reality that we're all dealing with is how do we thrive while doing virtual education at home. We're going to talk in a little while, just in a second, about the realities of content, about papers, about books, about websites. We're going to give you all that information. I'm so honored to have Terri tonight. We're going to be right back in just a moment after these special messages. I'm so excited to be able to share with you some great things that are happening, and I want to share them with you now. Tonight, I want to share with you especially about something that's coming up on Sunday. On Sunday, you need to register for this conference with Beverly D. Burgess. And I'm going to ask Terri in a second to talk about Miss Burgess, talk about the Community Empowerment Summit. And this is going to be a time of refreshing for everybody. I look forward to the opportunity where we can get together.
Shout out to the hip hop public health. All the healthcare workers on the front line. Together, we can make a difference.
What's good, y'all? This is Doug E. Fresh coming at you live and direct. All of y'all out there, got a couple of things I want to talk to y'all about. Wash your hands, everybody, and everybody. wash your hands.
20 seconds
Come
or
on,
more.
wash your hands, everybody. And everybody, wash your hands.
20
My
seconds
people
or more.
uptown, wash your hands. My people downtown, wash your hands.
20
People
seconds
from
or
the
more.
East Coast, wash your hands. People from the West Coast, wash your hands. That's right.
First and foremost, please listen close. Take your time, wash. Use a lot of soap from the front to the back, back to the front. Sing the hook where you at. That's exactly what we want. If you decide to leave, please take heed. Talking social distance, at least 6 feet. On a bus or the train, riding in your car. The further you're away, then the better off you are. 20 seconds or more. You gotta be able to wash your hands like you never ever washed them before. 20 seconds or more. Try to wait, you'll make the greatest mistake. You need to wash them when you enter the door. 20 seconds or more. Take your time, sing a song, spit a rhyme. When you're finished, you can put on some gloves. 20 seconds or more. It's very important to wash your hands. You're protecting everybody you love.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be able to share with you some exciting things that are going on in the Built to Thrive community. We'll be having this special event on this coming Sunday, with Beverly D. Burgess, the one and only Grant Guru. Here's a way to reach out to me at Built to Thrive on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and we're broadcasting tonight for the first time on Twitter. We're back live with Terri from Terri Teaches. And thank you so much, Terri, for being with us tonight. It's such an honor and pleasure and privilege to have you. And we've gotten received some comments from some people who know you, some people who said that mental health is important. And Rashida, if you're on, please put in the chat, the comment section, how people can connect with you about how to share and what your fee is. Come on now, we want to hook you up, girl. This ain't no free thing. The other thing is the reality that most of us have real questions, real concerns, and real challenges. And I think that the reality is that some people are afraid of their own kids. They're afraid to be around their kids. And some people don't mind the distance. But I'm so glad that you, in the first half, kind of share with us the power of coming together, the joy of coming together, and how meaningful it has been for you and for your family.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for just a second, because I think there's two things that I heard in there that really resonated with me. The idea that some parents are afraid of their kids. I think some of us are afraid of what we're going to do when we come together, right? We live in a world, especially as our kids start getting older, where everyone's coming and going and everyone is quickly and moving, and we get kind of lost in our own silos. I know that a lot of times, our TV will be off, but everybody will be looking at their device, watching Disney or watching, Netflix. And it's not so much that we're afraid of being together. We're afraid of what we're going to do when we get together.
That's true.
I think that one of the things that I made a decision during this time, and it wasn't just me, it was me and my husband. One of the things that we decided was we were going to know each other. We were going to know each other. We have a family mission and we have a family vision. Yes. And we spent time as a family writing our family vision and writing our family mission. And one of the activities that we did in that is we had everybody write down their strengths. Everybody, what do you love to do? What are you good at? And by doing that, you think my kid's really good at, but what do you think you're good at? What do you enjoy doing? And in that, we discovered, Sanaya likes writing stories. All right, well, when we come together, you're going to tell the story. Yeah. All right. My oldest, Charnay, she's an amazing cook. Okay. We going to have a bake-off. Okay. My daughter learned how to play the guitar during the quarantine. She literally taught herself how to play the guitar during quarantine. Well,
Wow.
you know who's going to play for worship now every week? You
Yeah.
know, those things of becoming, knowing who they are,
Yes.
then you're not afraid to be together because you know what to do, because you know what you're going to like.
Man, this is awesome. I think you're so right. Learning so much about my kids too, and how gifted they are, and how different they are, and how the needs that they have. And I agree that there's. I was in a call the other day in a meeting where somebody was just talking about the fact that all you do is basically drop the kids off, then run across the city to go to different practices, different events, different scheduling things. And honestly, I'm thankful for the break because we've all received something very meaningful.
Yeah.
So could you kind of talk about, we're going to kind of get toward the curriculum side, and Lakeisha Lawrence kind of asked this question. Hey, Terri, I'm so inspired by the activities your family shared. How do you balance the patience of teaching different learning levels, curriculum, and your own children? I think that's a great question. Thank you, Lakeisha, for this question.
It's a fantastic question. And this is why ritual and routines became so important for me, right? Because in addition to my children, I am a resource to other homeschooling parents.
Yes.
So those other homeschooling parents who know that I am a gifted and amazing writer and amazing literacy teacher,
yes,
they have their children coming to me for me to teach them. So it's really important that I created rituals and routines that my own children knew that they were a part of a learning community.
Yes.
Right? I wasn't just mommy. I'm their teacher right now.
Yeah.
And so in the same way that if I put you on the computer to learn with someone else, you better represent me well. Exactly. When somebody else comes into our learning space, represent. Let's be a family. Let's be a learning community. So to answer the question that Lakeisha asked is, what I had to do is I had to say, what is my schedule going to look like so that my children know when it's their time for me to be working with them and when it's their time to be working independently. But in addition to that, when you're working independently, what should that look like?
Exactly.
Right? Independently doesn't mean you're playing your video game.
Yeah.
Independently means you're either reading a book. Independently means that you are, my daughter, she has her own business. So you're in there working your business. You're in there creating your polishes, right? We have a conversation of what it looks like when you're supposed to be working independently, when I'm supposed to be working with you. We know those boundaries. We understand those rituals. We understand those routines. And it's really important. Even if it was just my two children, the same would be the truth. I have a kindergartner and a sixth grader. Wow. There is no teaching them the same.
Yeah.
None. They drive each other crazy. So when the kindergartner needs me to teach her reading, my sixth grader has to understand that she has a role to play independently.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's time for my sixth grader to have her lesson, my kindergartner needs to understand she has puzzles. She has her tablet, school bow. There's a list of things she knows she can do independently. And we set our foundation early. Respect means that if it's not my turn to have my mom, that I just wait.
Yeah.
Now, does it happen overnight and does it happen so seamlessly like I'm making it sound so beautifully here? Absolutely not. No, it's not. Does it require patience? Does it require time? Does it require ritual? Yes. It requires redirection all the time. It's not your time. You're doing independent. What are you going to do? One of my favorite questions is, what are you going to do during your independent time today? Get it out and have it ready. What book are you going to be reading?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now that we both know what you're going to be doing, don't call my name, please.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think that means a lot when each child knows that they actually will have time with you, and they also are aware of the expectations that they have. I was wondering, how would you? I've seen and been following you, and I've noticed that you share a lot about creating checkpoints throughout the day, having opportunities, what kind of content, what kind of paper, what kind of books, things like that. What would you say? What does a typical day look like? Because in some settings, there's some people who, at least I know in my area, the teachers were able to teach, but they only had one day with their kids in instruction, and the rest the kids were on their own. So how can I, as a parent, be able to teach? And this is from the public school area. How can I be able to teach and share my kids' education experience while dealing with a teacher, while dealing with other concerns? What would be some helpful hints that you would suggest for all of us?
Wow, that's a loaded question. It is a great question, right? Because that is honestly where we all are right now. I my biggest piece of advice would be, and I say this with all love, and y'all know my history. I've been in the public school system. But what I often tell my parents to do is look at what the expectation from the school is, and then identify what is going to work and what you see as could be concerning. Don't go saying, I can't do this cuz.
Yeah.
Figure out what would make it work more effectively for your family, then present that plan to the teacher. Because let me tell you, I will tell you this, we've never done this before. We're in a pandemic situation. Everybody is trying to figure out how and what to do, including the teachers, including the principals, including the superintendents, including the president of the United States. We're all trying to figure out what to do. So when you identify what's going to work for your family, what may not work for your child, take that thing that probably will not work for your child, figure out how you can accomplish it or what might work more effectively, and then present to the teacher, hey, I know this is what you laid out. I see this is be an issue for my kid because I know them as a learner. But what I think will be more effective is if I help them and support them doing it this way. Are you okay with that? And I guarantee you they're going to say yes.
So you basically are creating your own child's IEP for their own success.
Yes.
And for those who may not know what IEP is, an individual education plan.
Yeah.
Now I know that this, for many parents, there's some parents who have children with special needs. And how do the parents with special needs, with kids with special needs, or learners with different needs, there may be a different way to say it. How do they? What kind of resources are there for parents of autistic parents, of autistic children, things like that? I know you have access to all the resources, so I want to ask you every question I can think of. I feel like it's Christmas time for homeschooling and virtual education.
Right. So the first thing that I would suggest, especially if your child has specific needs that they need for their learning, right? If they have an IEP, then you're familiar with the learning strategies that work well for them. Now think about what that looks like in your house. How can you mimic that? How can you modify that? Or how can you utilize some of those same strategies in your home? All right. If you know that proximity is important, if you know that frequent breaks is important, if you know that, it's important for them to have things to touch, all of those things, once you know, then you are armed with the ability to reach out and talk to the different resources that may be able to support you in finding those resources. Like you said, I don't know every single resource, but what I do know is that if you have an idea of what your autistic child needs, right? And because their needs are different in the classroom than sometimes they are. And but if you're going to create that structure for them, I'm going to give you one great tip that is really helpful for children who have IEPs. Creating the school space. So that they know that when I'm sitting in this chair, it's time for me to focus and listen. Having a space, whether it's a specific chair, whether it's a specific table, whatever it is, creating that assigned space for that learning time is really, really important. You know, I know specifically when I work with autistic children, I had a child who they used to take paper and wad it up and then put it in their desk. And they needed that. They needed that tactile thing. All right. At the home, they didn't really do that because at the home, they didn't have that structured time. And so they just moved around their house. Well, when you now have that structured time, be aware of that. Be ready for that and be willing to allow that, because that is what is going to help them create their own ritual and routine and make them feel safe in their space.
So I think that honestly, it doesn't matter. We're up to like 1 a.m. the other day, putting together desks for our kids, making their spaces nice. They got to decorate their own spaces and make them their own. And even now we found that they like being there. They like being in their space because it belongs to them. It's exclusive, it's executive, and it's important. So I was wondering, how do you communicate with a teacher in a way that's going to be meaningful for growth? And I think that, you know, obviously with every student, every year, everybody learns and grows differently. But I was wondering what you would suggest on how to communicate with teachers.
Communicating with teachers, I think that is like the $1 million question. And it's the $1 million question because a lot of times people feel like it's like a really hard thing. But as an educator, if I know that my parents, the parents of the students I'm teaching are working with me, I'm going to talk to you all day. The communication breaks down when I feel like you're questioning my expertise, or when I feel like you're questioning my ability to teach. If you are helping me teach your child more effectively, and you're asking me how to be more effective at your homeschooling area, we are a match made in heaven. Yeah, we are a match made in heaven. It's the same thing. When I go to the doctor, I'm not questioning their expertise as a doctor.
You better go ahead and talk now.
I do want to ask them, so how is this going to work? I get headaches often. Do you think that this will work with my headaches? Do you think I'll have any concerns with that? Right? I'm telling my doctor what I know about me, and I'm asking them to show me how to work with their expertise. And it's the same thing when you're communicating with your child's teacher. That's why I said, don't go tell them what won't work. Say, I know my child, and as the teacher, I know that this process is going to work. There is one concern that I see that might make it challenging for my child, meaning the class, is going to be for an hour. I see that it might be a concern for my child to sit a full hour. Could I get them to pause every 20 minutes and just walk around? I'll turn the computer on so they can hear it from wherever they are. And then you'll just know that that's where they went. Yeah. Every teacher is going to be like, absolutely, that sounds great. Yes, thank you for letting me know. That means they're going to be on task. And you know what I mean? You're going to be the teacher who knows, you're going to be the parent who's there to support me. That's the key, working together as a team.
Terri, so you have given us like a semester of parental homeschool university here to be able to share with us like the ways, seriously, of how to keep going, how to feel encouraged, how to feel inspired and motivated. But in addition to that, practical ways to connect with other people. What are some Facebook groups that you would suggest people join? What are some websites that you would say, hey, this one is a good one? And
Okay.
obviously, we want to talk about the book that you have, African American Families, Why We Homeschool. And I want to bring you and Shiva back together because you all are a powerhouse, being able, and others who have pioneered this in our community.
Yeah. All right. So I'll give you a couple of links that are really good. Okay. So this is something I shared earlier today on my page. So if you're not writing these down right now, I am at Terri Teaches on Facebook, and I did a live today where I dropped a bunch of links. But like I said, one of the things that's really important is as you start to homeschool your kids, as you start to work with your children, you're going to notice that they might need support in other areas, okay? The one thing I'm going to caution you is don't do a whole lot of homework. Once they're in school, let them do school and keep it moving, right? Because I don't know about y'all, but being in front of a computer is intense.
Yeah.
Right? It's intense. So once they finish school, let them kind of finish school. But if you notice that they need some support, there are some really great free websites that you can use to support them. One of those is one that I love is K12reader.com. I love that website. It's fantastic. K12reader.com. It has a lot of a lot of worksheets on there. Another great resource for math worksheets is math-drills.com. I love that one. Another great website is commoncoresheets.com. And then let me give you one more. Another great website that I love a lot for reading and math is readworks.com. And then, of course, you've got all of those different ones that give, they're going to give you like, what are they called? News articles.
Mm-hmm.
Those are cool. Like News ELA and using news articles and stuff like that, that will allow you to consume the news, but also do your reading. That's good. It's Read, R-E-A-D works, Readworks, instead of Reworks. So that's good. Facebook groups, you really can go in and type in all sorts of Facebook groups. I am a part of African American Homeschool. There are the Village, Melanin Village, teacher, homeschooling teachers, gifted groups. Like there are so many Facebook groups for homeschooling parents. You really just Google who you are, right? I am a parent of an autistic kid who's homeschooling. Type that in, you'll find something, right? And they're really, really good. But if you need specific support, just reach out to me. You can send me a message through Messenger, or you can come to my Facebook page, Terri Teaches, and send me a message. I'm always there to help.
Terri, you have given like so many resources, so many things that you want to share. I want to share just a few things about what will be happening this coming week for everybody who's watching. Please, 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 you got to register for this event, Caring for the Community Through Grants and More. This event usually is significantly more expensive. Beverly Burgess wants everyone to be able to participate. Also, every week, Finding Your Purpose on YouTube, on the Built to Thrive page. And also coming up very soon, you'll be able to get the Built to Thrive Discovery Guide and the book 5 Minutes on Purpose. Download that on Amazon.com. Every Saturday morning, we'll be here on this same channel, on this same broadcast for Word Power, where I want to inspire and encourage you with a word of the week. And I'm telling you, this week is going to get even better. I want to pray for you, pray for your business, and pray for your success and prosperity, and know that God will bless you. Terri, would you just give us kind of a final word, a charge some encouragement as we prepare to dive in to this school year.
Absolutely. Well, I first want to make sure I let everyone know that you all can do this. We are in this together. We are, you now know me. So now I am a part of your village. I am a part of your resource bank. So I want you to use me. Leverage this resource. I teach a writing course, and I will be teaching a writing course all semester long, all school year long, but we're going to take it by semesters because we don't really know what's going on. So if you want me to be your child's writing teacher, let me know. Reach out to me. We'll get you enrolled. I just want you to know that we are here to grow and thrive together. You guys, we're going to make it. You're going to make it. And one of the affirmations I say to myself every single morning is that I am always on God's mind. You are on God's mind. He's thinking of you. He's considering you. He's loving on you. You're going to make it. Go in your closet, cry if you need to, then reach out and let me know. And if you want to join my community, come join my free community at the right space. I'd love to have you.
Well, listen, let me tell you, tonight we also have Terri, and there's a book that you need to get that's going to help you on this journey as well. And that book is called African American Families, Why We Homeschool. And Terri, you are one of the authors of a chapter in the book. And I'm so excited to be able to share this resource with the Built to Thrive community. I want to thank you again, Terri, for coming on tonight. You gave us, I got to send these 4 back out for people. And please, if you're watching tonight, Rashida, before you get off, don't get off, Rashida. Please put the information in there for you, because we want people to reach out to you, Rashida, as well. People be watching this live and rebroadcast it. So while I'm doing the rituals, the 4 things to be successful this school year, or 5, whatever they may be, please put your information in there so we can share it with the community. So number 1, create rituals and routines. Number 2, identify how you're going to homeschool. Number 3, be willing to pivot and go through with the process. And finally, number 4, create an ending to the day. I think that you have given us so much, Terri, to be able to consider, so much to be able to think about. We look forward to having you back on, and thank you for believing in me, and thank you for believing in the network. Oh, we even got some merch before we go. We got some Built to Thrive merch.
Oh,
hey,
now
Built to Thrive mug.
out.
And we got Built to Thrive face masks.
Wait, I'm gonna need you to put one of those in the mail for me, okay?
It's coming. It's coming. It's coming.
Remember the people who were there from the beginning, Julie.
Oh, listen. I know who's there. I know who's there from the beginning. And we have multicultural teachers for the deaf. Here's Rashida Garcia's information. Rashida, see, I was gonna hook you up, and you weren't even a guest tonight, girl. You got hooked up. Please reach out to Rashida. She is an excellent sign language instructor. You didn't know I knew sign language, huh? Have a great night. God bless you. I hope to see you again on the network. Please come back next Wednesday night. We're going to have a great time again. If not, we'll see you Saturday morning on the network. God bless you. God inspire you. God make you successful until we meet again.